Hello everyone, I'm Ricky Levon, author of Offerings and Sacrifices. In this video I'll be reading Lesson 18, Be Holy for I Am Holy. To follow along, click on the link in the description or pause the video in between each question. Also make sure to take notes as the questions are given for personal study and reflection. Be holy for I am holy. Lesson 18, which comes out of Leviticus chapter 19. Question 1. What command was given to the people of Israel and why? Leviticus chapter 19, verses 1 through 2. Question 2. Name at least one way the church in a group and as an individual can represent God's holiness. Question 3. What standards did God give to the people? Leviticus chapter 19 verses 3 through 4 and Exodus chapter 20 verses 1 through 6 and 8 through 12. Question 4. What is the proper way to eat and handle the fellowship offering? This is found in Leviticus chapter 19, verses 5 through 8. Question 5. To help the poor, what does God say regarding the farm of that society? Leviticus chapter 19, verses 9 through 10. Question 6. Why would God want the provisions that are set up in question 5, and how can we show a similar behavior today? Question 7. List some of the acts that God requires of a person. Found in Leviticus chapter 19, verses 11 through 17, and Exodus chapter 20, verse 7, verse 13, and verses 15 through 16. Question 8. What is something that God wants His people to do and why? It's found in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, and Exodus chapter 20, verse 17, and John chapter 15, verses 11 through 14. Question 9. Under God's plan, what are some things that cannot be mixed? This is Leviticus chapter 19, verse 19, and Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 9 through 11. Question 10. What is the law for sexual intercourse with a slave under another person? This is found in Leviticus chapter 19, verses 20 through 22. Question 11. There is a guide to planting and eating the fruit from the field. What is God's requirement to the people? Leviticus chapter 19, verses 23 through 25. Question 12. God gives a lot of other requirements for lifestyle and what a person was prohibited from doing to oneself. What are they and what reasons were given for these requirements? Leviticus chapter 19 verses 26 through 30 and Exodus chapter 20 verse 14. Question 13. Who is a person not allowed to consult? It's found in Leviticus chapter 19 verse 31, Deuteronomy chapter 18 verses 9 through 12, and 1 Chronicles chapter 10 verses 13 through 14. Question 14. What is an effective way to show respect to those who are well seasoned in the community? Leviticus chapter 19 verse 32. Question 15. How does God want foreigners to be treated in the land and why? Leviticus chapter 19 verses 33 through 37. Question 16. When looking at the laws that God has set for His people, what does it say about the community He was trying to build? Question 17. We often use the term being holy and being like God. This is a great statement and idea to live under, but if someone asks for the definition of being holy, after reading this chapter, what does holy even mean? And now it's time for just a thought. And it says God wants His people to be like Him. This isn't a surprise. Often, no matter who we are, we have a desire for our family, children, friends, employees, sports players, and others to be like us. If not exactly, then at least have our mindset, work ethic, and behavior. That's why a sports team take on the persona of their coach or manager. If you have a great coach, this can lead to success and a great feeling of playing the game. However, if the coach is terrible, then this will lead in the opposite direction. When it comes to children, the same is true. Many parents want their children to be like them, if not better. Often the parents fail to see that their personal behavior and attitude isn't lining up to what they are teaching. Therefore, the children might not act or behave the way the parents desire. The Lord has a standard for His people's behavior, disposition, and character. God's desire is for His people to be holy. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel. Say to them, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." Leviticus chapter 19 verses 1 through 2, the New King James Version. The standard was so the people of Israel would then reflect this attitude to the country surrounding them. In doing so, God's influence would travel throughout the world. The Lord does not haphazardly decree laws. He proficiently drafts a blueprint to become His holy people. One such group of laws are the 10 Commandments. When observing Leviticus chapter 19, there is an interesting parallel that is revealed between this chapter and the 10 Commandments. You will notice that many of the questions relate to the 20th chapter of Exodus. The 10 Commandments are listed in the second book of the Bible and in Deuteronomy chapter 5 verses 1 through 22. Leviticus is a book of worship and ritual. For that reason, God made sure that the 10 Commandments are written in this book. There was to be no doubt that God's 10 Commandments were to be respected in worship. The very start of this chapter talks about taking on the character of God due to Him being holy. This mindset is not only for the ancient Israelites, but for God's church as well. God has a longing for His people to be holy. In 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 16 it states, "For it is written, be holy, because I am holy." This statement was written by one of Christ's disciples and was taken after Jesus' resurrection, meaning that the message of being holy not only applied to the ancient Israelites, but to the church of today. God set up a standard for what it means to be holy. Look over this chapter and take heart to what it is stating. We often believe that being holy is some abstract idea, but there are some concrete means to do this. All we should do is follow the steps and laws that God set up. Then we can honestly say that we're being holy as God is holy. For more information on offerings and sacrifices, or to get a copy, click on the links in the description below. Thanks for your support and have a blessed and a holy day. Peace.